Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Marilyn Darling Show, and welcome to another episode of an ink review. Actually, this will be like a dual review. We're going to do an ink review and a pen review. So, yay. But first, we're going to share this with our friends so that they can come and hang out with us too. At this time, I would highly encourage you to go share this with your friends so that they can come and hang out with us too. All you have to do is click the share button, and then it'll open up one of these toggles like this, and you can click any of these of your social networks. It'll open up a page like this, and then you can click share to Facebook. This one's a little more tricky because you have to go to the page, click the share button, and then the embedded button. Copy this code, then go back to Tumblr and paste in the embedded code. Click post, and there it'll be posted to Tumblr. You can post it to your blog or to Twitter. Or even if you have a LinkedIn, it would be greatly appreciated to share this with your LinkedIn. If you have a specific Pinterest that you share your inks to, I'd be ever so grateful. Or if you have a ink forum on Reddit that you like to share ink reviews with, I would be ever so grateful. Uh-oh, what did I do? There. Uh-oh. I don't even know if you could see all the things that I was doing. Oh dear. All I can do is hope that you could see what I was doing. Alright, so I wonder if there is a way to toggle these. Okay, well, we're just gonna have to keep moving forward, right? Alright, so today's ink is Private Reserve Tropical Glow. Thanks goes out to Private Reserve and Yafa Brands for providing the ink and the pen for today's review. Today's pen, we will be using the Monteverde Monza with a calligraphy 1.5 millimeter stub nib. Kind of a weird looking stub nib. We'll get to that in a little bit. Here is our ink of the day. Looks very nice, very nice. Alright, and here is our ink swatch and water resistance test shows. It does have the smallest bit of water resistance. I don't know that if I would put this on the outside of an envelope for fear it may wash away. And here is our ink splotch. And here's our toilet paper chromatography. I see this blue bit in the middle, and then I see pink around the edge. There's like three different colors. There's two colors of blue. There's like a darker blue and a lighter blue, and then like a purplyish, pinkish around the edge. Very interesting indeed. Okay. Let's do a a little writing sample. This is the Monteverde Monza. It's not an A, it's an O. It's a Monza ID. Calligraphy. I'm gonna try and do this. Oh, that's terrible. That's just the worst. So, let's use this with gently agitate. Be very careful. Alright, I'm going to be using 156. This is private reserve. Not some of my best writing. There it is. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I just love Private Reserve inks. They are so well cooperative, especially when doing calligraphy. You guys know that I use Private Reserve Velvet Black every day in my Noodler's Conrad. And it works really well with the broad-edged calligraphy. Also, I'm not that skilled at doing broad-edged calligraphy, but I'm gonna give it a go. That's all, folks. Not very good at the broad edge calligraphy, but I gave it a go. I will do more on this, on the other sizes of this calligraphy pen. Oh heck, why not? Let's go all in. Okay, this is the 1mm. 1mm, which isn't very big. This is more like an everyday writer. Beautiful. Smaller than a 1.1, so I would call this like a medium broad. And this one is a 2mm, so it's going to be really broad. Oops, let me see. 2mm. The 1.5mm. And there is the 1mm. So they're quite different. I don't know, I kind of like the 1mm. I may finish out the rest of the day with the 1mm. Yeah, that's much better. I definitely like that better than the 1.5 millimeter. I may experiment with these for the remainder of the day and see how they go, but I think these are pretty cool. If you're interested in broad edge calligraphy, go check it out. Oh god. Okay. I'll go wash those out afterwards. That's dry. Okay. I can just put this box away. So there's our writing sample. Very nice, very nice. Okay, let's do some paper review, shall we? Oh dear. Okay. Alright, this is Pirate Reserve Tropical Blue on the Pen and Gear Memo book from Walmart.com. There's just the tiniest bit of feathering, and it did bleed through the page. Now, this may be stark contrast to a 1 millimeter stub or a fine or an extra fine, depending on is it dry? It's dry. Alright, let's see. So it still does bleed through just a little bit, and I'm not pressing hard, too much harder than I was before, so it is bleeding through this Pen and Gear Memo book. This is lightweight traveler's notebook paper. Beautiful shading, no feathering, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is super lightweight traveler's notebook paper. I do see a little bit of red sheen. Hi Amy, how are you doing today? Are you having a nice day? I do see a tiny bit of a red halo sheen going on. Normal amount of ghosting. This is a very pretty blue. I'm going to be doing a giveaway over on the Patreon, so look forward to that soon. This is Field Notes Journal. I do see the tiniest bit of seepage, and it did bleed through the page. Moleskin 70 GSM. I can see a little bit of seepage, and it did bleed through the page. This is Fabriano Eco Qua 85 GSM. It does have a little bit of feathering, and it did bleed through the page. Too bad. This is Ayush 100 GSM paper. I don't see any feathering, no bleeding, tiny bit of ghosting though. Right there you can see it. Just finished work. Oh boy, that's my favorite time. Alright, this is Leuchtturm 1917. There's just the tiniest little bit of shake, maybe. Ooh, and it did bleed through the page. Ooh, that's too bad. This is Midori MD paper. A little bit of shake, no bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is going to be the real test of time. This is 52 GSM Tumaway River. Beautiful shading. Oh, and it did bleed just a little bit through the page. Oh, that's too bad. Cosmo Air Light 75 GSM. No feathering. No bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is the Jot Journal from the Dollar Tree. No feathering. Ooh, and it did bleed through the page. That's the first one in a long time this bled through that. There's one there. Oh, and one there. Goodness. You know, I might try and redo this. I don't know. I might. We're gonna move forward, but I might do this with another pen another day. It is bleeding through the page, which is not normal for this type of ink. Okay, this is Moramon Nemosity 80 GSM dot grid. I do see a couple of little feathers down here, and it is feathering into the page, and it is bleeding and ghosting through the page. Too bad. This is Oxford optic paper. This may be due to the size of the nib or the wetness of the pen, but it did bleed through the page. Alright, this is B7 Bulky 75 GSM. A little shading, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Clairefontaine 90 GSM. A little bit of spread, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Exceed 100 GSM heavyweight paper from Walmart.com. A little bit of spread, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is Up and Up Wide Rule composition book from Target.com. I don't see any feathering, but it did bleed through the page. I may retry and do this ink review with the fine nib, because I don't feel like it's being fair. True Red composition book, Staples.com. A little bit of feathering, and it did bleed through the page. Apica notebook paper, 81.4 GSM. A little bit of feathering, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. But the shading is crazy, I agree. This is the Nanami 7C's 68 GSM Tomoe River. See, this is what it's supposed to look like. Beautiful. But it did bleed through the page. Dang it. That's just terrible. This is Rhodia Dot Pad 80 GSM. No feathering. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is Artist Loft 100 GSM paper. A little bit of feathering, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. I might do the review again, because I feel like this isn't really a fair representation. Feathering, a little bit of heavy ghosting. New style notebook paper. Looks fine. Bled through the page. Sheffield home paper goods. A little bit of feathering, bled through the page. CVS Caliber notebook paper. Beautiful sheen right at the bottom. Nice, no bleeding, barely any ghosting. Oxford notebook paper. A little bit of sheen, looks fine, no bleeding, barely any ghosting. Made wide ruled notebook paper. A little bit of feathering, bled to the page. 5-star notebook paper. A little bit of feathering, bled to the page. Speckled notebook paper. Looks fine. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. HP Premium 32-pound copy paper. Looks beautiful, right? A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is Apica cross-section pad. No, Akabe cross-section pad. You can see it does look like it's seeping into the page, and it did bleed to the page. JNB Copperplate Graph Pad from JohnNeilBooks.com. There's just a little bit of spread, a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. This is original Crown Mill 100 GSM paper. It's feathering into the page, and it did bleed to the page. So, not very cooperative at all. Okay, so we're going to do a reverse with a 1mm stub. And I'm not doing anything different. Not doing anything different at all. I normally would with every other paper. If anything, I'm pressing lighter. I should point out that this pen is very light. It's like maybe 7 grams, 8 grams, possibly 10, but not more than 15. When you reverse write, how do you do it? Is the nib at an angle straight to the paper? Reverse write. No, I mean I'm gonna do a reverse order of how I did the review. I'm gonna write. I usually write the papers in reverse, or I write them in the order that I do them. So that way that they're right up when I finish the review. So at the end of the review, they're all upside down. But when I do the review, then they're all right side up. And I mean right side up, like in the order, not the paper direction. Oops, I made a bloop. In reverse order, not reverse direction, I should have said. Hi, Carlos. How are you? No, I'm using a less juicier pen. Actually, I'm not necessarily using a less juicier pen. I'm using a thinner nib. The calligraphy set came with 3 different nibs. A 1mm, a 1.5mm, and a 2mm. But I'm using the 1mm to go the reverse order to see if that would make a difference. Because right now I am not happy. I don't usually redo a review. And I'm not doing anything funny. I'm just writing the words, you know. How I do every day. But I feel like this one is I was unfair to this one because I used such a big nib and not everybody uses thick nibs like I do. Or flex nibs or things like that. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this now. Let's see if it's any better. Alright, this is the Pen and Gear memo book from Walmart.com. Still a little bit of feathering, bleeding, and ghosting. Oh no, that's not good. Lightweight traveler's notebook paper. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Super lightweight traveler's notebook paper. Still bleeding and ghosting. That's too bad. Field Notes Journal. A little bit of bleeding, ghosting. Moleskin. Bleeding and ghosting. That's too bad. Fabriano Eco Qua. Bleeding and ghosting. Ayush. No bleeding, no ghosting. Ayush is good. Leuchtturm, still bleeding and ghosting. Oh, that's too bad. That just sucks. This is Midori MD paper. Just ghosting. Cosmo Air Light. Just ghosting. .52 GSM Tomoe River. Still a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Too bad. The Jot Journal from the Dollar Tree. Still a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Then Marmon Nemosity. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Oh, that's too bad. Oxford Optic Paper. Bleeding and ghosting. $75 GSM bulky paper. Tiniest bit of bleed through, a little bit of ghosting. Clairefontaine. Still a little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Exceed 100 GSM heavyweight paper from Walmart.com. Bleeding and ghosting. Up and Up Wide Rule Composition Book Target.com. Wait, oops, there it is. Bleeding and ghosting. Oh, that's too bad. I thought maybe it was because of the thick nib, but no, it's just the ink. This is True Red Composition Book Staples.com. Bleeding and ghosting. Apica. No bleeding, just ghosting. Nanami 7 Seas. Heavy ghosting. Rhodia Dot Pad. Just ghosting. Artist Loft. Just ghosting. Buffet handmade paper from Italy. Just ghosting. U-style notebook paper. Little bleeding, little ghosting. Sheffield home paper goods. Bleeding and Ghosting. Oxford notebook paper. Just Ghosting. CVS Caliber notebook paper. Just Ghosting. Mead wide rolled notebook paper. Bleeding and Ghosting. 5-star notebook paper. Heavy bleed, a little bit of bleeding and ghosting. Speckled notebook paper, no bleeding. Let's see. Yeah, no bleeding, no ghosting. This one first. HP Premium 32-pound copy paper. No bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. Acabee cross-section pad. Move this over and up. Still bleeding and ghosting. JNB copper plate graph pad from JohnNeilBooks.com. A little bit of bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. And last but not least, original Crown Mill 100 GSM paper. Bleeding and ghosting. So, the last thing that I can look at, that's probably the thickest paper, is the 3x5. And even it just has dots of bleeding and ghosting. What about the back of this? So it does hold up to watercolor paper. I'm thinking thoughts about next month buying some multimedia paper, which is only like 200 and something pound media paper. Just to see if we can find one that will be cooperative with this type of ink. Because nobody wants to write with watercolor paper. I should also say that it is 50% humidity today, which may be a reason why it's absorbing into the paper so much. It's very warm today, so I don't know. We may revisit this in the winter time to see how it flows in the winter time. Yes, we may look at this around Christmas time. That would be a great time to take a peek at this ink. Okay, let's do some comparison. Up this light just a little. There we go. This is a beautiful blue ink. Uh-oh, I just thought about something. Oh, it's got some heavy show-through on my Hobonichi. So, that's something to be concerned about. Oh dear. Okay, let's look at some light blue inks. What do we got? This is Private Reserve Tropical Blue next to you. Highlight Aroshizuku Konpeki, very close. Edelstein Topaz, Aqua Lagoon, Sub-Zero, Cool Breeze, Blue Nose Bear, Motor City Peacock Blue, Whoopi, Yuki Ikari, Dostoevsky, Jade Vine, Blue Bahama, Havasu Turquoise, Steel blue. Java, blue Provence, very similar. Carco's turquoise, light washed. Lac base sea and sky. Horizon blue. Light blue, this one's kind of similar. Caribbean blue, another one that's kind of similar. Sky blue, light blue. Abalone. Hawaii blue, this one's kind of close-ish. Royal blue. Monongahela, and cerulean. Let's look at some medium blues. Washable blue, Kensington blue, Sheen Machine, Angelfish, Cosmos, Arctic Blast, Indigo, Florida blue, Capri blue, Food Color blue, Mediterranean, Kyanite du Nepal, Namiki blue, Cali blue, Diatramentus Robert Louis Stevenson South Seas blue, Troublemaker Simone, Blue Bonnet, Cross blue, Lamy blue, Radiant blue, Baltimore Canyon blue, Ao blue, Ajasai, Asagao, Manyo Konagi, Freedom of the Starry Skies, Ruri, Bay State blue, Thunderbolt, Bernanke blue, Portman Sapphire, Mysterious blue, Aurora blue, Blue Caprese, Blue Myosotis, Sky High, this one's kind of similar. Primary blue, this one's also kind of similar. Hippocamp, Daus Blau, Serenity, Blue Lightning, Turquoise blue, this one's in the swatch it looks similar to my eye, but not in the writing. Sumer, Blue Moon, Nitrogen, and Turquoise Eel. Well, what do you guys think of today's ink? Are you thinking thoughts about getting this type of an ink? Ooh, I do want to look at something really quick. So here is the sample that I did on CVS Caliber notebook paper. And it does have heavy ghosting and even little bits of bleed through, but I think that if you did this in a CVS Caliber notebook paper, you could possibly use both sides. Even though I never write with both sides, but it is a possibility. Anyway, yeah, it's such a pretty ink, but I don't know if I would have bought it. And like I said, I might try and come back to this around Christmas time, just to try it again in a less humid environment, a less humid and less warm environment. It's very warm today. It's 89 degrees currently and 55% humidity. So maybe in a less humid environment it'll be better. Who knows? Or a more humid. But one can only tell. So, that's all I have for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the little bell. Make sure it's set to all, so when I upload new content, YouTube notifies you. And I will be back very soon with another video. And stay tuned later on today for a review of the Monteverde Monza calligraphy fountain pens. So, take care until then. Go check out the links in the doobly-doo to my website. Tell me what you think about that. Check out the second link for the Patreon. I will be starting a new calligraphy class the 1st of August, so look forward to that. The third link will save you 10% off on your next purchase from Pen Boutique. You have until the 5th of August. And then the savings will expire. So, have a great day. Okay, love you, bye.